Director of the School of Hospitality and the Robinson College of Business at Georgia State. It's nice to have a number of Georgia State College of Business alums in this audience today. Unlike many hotel real estate conferences, I'm not here to talk about interest rates or loan structures or REITs. My topic today is based on what I'm hearing from a number of CEOs and COOs in our industry and quite honestly outside of our industry about how they're prioritizing their time and what they're putting their time and energy into with their companies. We know everyone has to look at the financial results. I mean, obviously that's going to be a key part of what you do. That's your bread and butter. But I'm hearing from more and more executives that they are spending time on looking at how to revitalize and how to emphasize their organizational structures. The structure, the DNA, the core of what is really what differentiates them from their competitors, what makes them different. I don't think this is accidental. I don't think it's incidental. I don't think it's a small thing at all. I think it's very strategic. And when I was first contacted by Russ and his staff, and they said, what do you want to talk about 10 minutes, 15 minutes that you really think has the most impact? You know, this is the first thing that came to mind. We have a very active industry board. We have a very good tie, a lot of partnerships in the industry. So we talk with the industry a lot. Mainly the final result, the hotels. Once you've worked with them and the development people and they're open, we talk a lot with the end result, with the hotel operations. But I think that this is something that's very strategic in terms of CEOs and COOs. And my main message today is we're all in the service industry. You may be a lender, you may be a broker, you may be an owner, you may be an operator, you may be in some sort of auxiliary service that's in between, but we're all in the service industry. And that's something that I think is extremely key, and I want to emphasize this. I mean, obviously you are here, you are survivors. You know, as Russ said, and as we all agree, we know the last 3 years have been very challenging. It's been a challenging economic and business environment. You survived. That is a huge, huge compliment to your expertise, to your fortitude, to your companies. But we also have to look at, you know, what did the last 3 years do to us? Many of you have probably cut operational expenses. If you're in an operating hotel, we know that's the case. But even in your particular companies, consultants, again, loan companies, brokers, you cut operating expenses. You know how to do that. You know how to manage your money. You've cut the fat, but quite honestly, many of you probably started cutting into muscle and bone as well. That's what it took to survive. That's what it took to be focused so that you could be here. But even strong organizations need to have regular checkups. And this is something that I'm going to give some techniques, some quick things that I think will be important to just check on how your organization is doing. Getting in touch with your DNA. You know, what are your core values? What were you founded on? What was your company founded on? Why are you here? Why did you survive and some of your competitors didn't make it? And I would challenge you that it's probably because you had strong principles, you were focused, you had strong core values, and that you tried to keep on to those. That you had to stay focused and you had to keep your staffs focused. You know, we're not just talking about you here in this room. Obviously, you are the leaders. But while you're sitting here, someone's in your offices. Someone's in your hotel. Someone is managing the phone. Someone's managing the front desk. And what is going on with that level? And what I want to emphasize in terms of this DNA thing and your core values, what has happened overall to our service levels in the United States over the last 3 years? Have they gotten better? And again, service is very generic. We're not just talking about service in a hotel. We're talking about service from the lending institutions, service from the brokers, service on all different levels. As our service levels, have they gotten better? Have they gotten worse? Have they stayed the same? How many of you think your service levels have gotten better for your respective companies? Okay, a few hands. Thank you for being honest. I'm not going to ask you if you think think they've gotten worse. But thank you for being honest with that, because not everyone raised their hand. Let me tell you what the University of Michigan has said. They do the very, very well-known Customer Service Satisfaction Index. And they have shown that as our economy has gone down, guess what's gone down? Overboard, over the different industries, over a lot of segments of industries. Guess what else has gone down? Our service levels. Our service levels have gone down. And that's very, very concerning, because do you think that our customers, and your customers, whatever you call them, clients for some of your companies, do you think that their expectations for service have gone down? They have actually escalated, because their dollars are more important to them. Now maybe that's dollars that they're putting into developing a hotel, maybe that's dollars that they're spending across the front desk and renting a room, but their dollar value has become more important than ever before. Along with this, let's talk about what's going on with our employees. We are a service-based industry. You've got to depend on your employees. You know, this is something that, and again, it's not all on your shoulders. You have staffs. Do you think that the satisfaction level of employees has gone up over the last 3 years? That they're just glad to have jobs? That they're so thankful that you've employed them? How many of you think that the satisfaction level of employees has gone up? No one raised their hand. Well, you're exactly right. Satisfaction, employee satisfaction has gone down. Now, that has an impact for our industry. You know, you may not be hiring right now, but you will be hiring at some point. You don't want to hire a disengaged employee. And according to statistics, a survey that was done by Workplace Dynamics, it said that 21% of our workforce across the board, different industries, not just hospitality, 21% of our workforce is highly disengaged. You do not want a highly disengaged employee. A highly disengaged employee is going to be abrupt as they're answering the phone. They are going to give people half their attention. Their quality of work is not going to be good. What does a highly disengaged employee do to your operation? Whether you're on the lending side, the brokerage side, or you're running a hotel, it can actually put you out of business. So this idea of CEOs and COOs circling back and saying, yeah, we're still interested in the numbers, we gotta be. That's our bread and butter. We've still got to do that. But we're spending time on our culture, what we stand for, what got us here, what is going to get us into the future. Again, I don't think that's happenstance. I think that they're seeing the signs. Service levels going down, employee disengagement going up, people wanting more for their dollar. It's kind of the perfect storm as it's lining up. The other interesting thing is you may go, well, yeah, those highly disengaged employees, they're probably those entry-level employees. They're the low-skill employees. Let me tell you the segment that's the most highly disengaged, the most highly frustrated in our workforce overall right now. It's your top talent. Your top talent is more in that disengaged percentage than those that are at the entry level, just starting, low skill level. But think about it. What's happened to them in the last 3 years? Are they moving around? Are they being promoted? Are they being transferred? What are they doing? They're sitting. They're waiting it out. These are people that got out of school, started their career, and they wanted to be on what? The fast track. You know, I say particularly with the younger generation, it's not the career ladder anymore, it's the career escalator. And they were expecting to move. People aren't moving. So what does that mean? That means that they're stagnating. You have some of those people in your businesses. I almost guarantee that you do. So let's talk a little bit about this whole idea of organizational culture. And again, just some highlights, some things that I think are important. What were you founded on? What is important to you? You know, re-engage with that, reconnect with that. What are you known for? You know, I loved when Russ was going through and he just clicked off several things. We do a lot of appraisals. We know our stuff. We do thousands. We do hundreds. We are on the spot. We have people located all around. We can be there in an instant. That's what you're known for. That's what a lot of your businesses are known for. Accuracy, timeliness, service, and all has to do with quality. You know, what do your clients clients and your guests most appreciate about you. I'm going to show in a few minutes some companies that have incredibly strong cultures. And we all know their cultures, and we don't even work for them, they're so strong. But one of the companies that I'm going to highlight, I'm not going into a whole dissertation about them because you know them, you probably love them if you're in this part of the United States, is Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A has on their website now a link, share with us what you love about us. What a great thing to do. If you don't know what your clients, if you want to call them clients, if that's what your business is, if you don't know what your guests love about you, then that's something you need to reconnect with. You need to re-engage. What brings you your business? What do people appreciate? What do your employees value? What do your other stakeholders value? This is so incredibly important to get the total picture. What have you stood for over the course of time? Again, what has gotten you here, that you're sitting here in these seats, that has been so important that you've survived one of the roughest, if not the roughest, economic times we've ever had in our business environment. But what has also happened over the last 3 years? We've been busy. We focused on numbers. We focused on survival. Some companies, understandably so, pushed the culture thing, what they stood for, to the back corner because it just wasn't a priority. And you can't fault them for that, but now, hopefully, with things starting to look better, we can revisit it. The company's culture is what your mission stands for, it's what it's built on, it's what your vision stands for, it's what it's built on, it's what connects you to your future growth, your future survival. And you just can't sacrifice them. You can't say they're not important anymore. Of course they're important. They just got you here. They got you where you're here and you survived. Now, let's look at three quick snapshots of them. Again, they have cultures that are so strong, we know what they stand for. Everyone knows what Chick-fil-A stands for. Their mission is to be the best quick service restaurant in the United States. They hire the best, they train them the best, they motivate them to give the best service, friendly, clean, polite. You don't get that in every QSR, and we know that. Walt Disney World, fantasy. They try to make sure that there is not a blemish, not a crack in that from the moment you get into their theme parks until you leave, as well as their hotels and every part of their operation. And Nordstrom's. Nordstrom's is known for service. They take care of their customers. Even if you take them back a shirt that you bought in Walmart, they'll still take it back. Not that I've ever done it, but we know that they'll do it. So how do you do this? How do you get this idea of building and emphasizing and developing your culture? Again, you've got to get your arms around it. You've got to be in touch with it. You've got to make sure that your people can put their arms around it. Using real life examples. Now, my background was with Ritz-Carlton, and I'm proud to say it was with Ritz-Carlton in the early days of the 80s and the 90s, leading up to the Malcolm Baldrige Award. And we didn't do everything right. And if anyone is an ex-Ritz-Carlton person or a current Ritz-Carlton here, I would never say we did everything right. But we did do an excellent job of building a culture that if whether you were a housekeeper or a front office agent or a person that was outside valet parking or at the bell stand or in food and beverage or in accounting, you knew the culture. You knew what it stood for. You knew what it was about. How did we do that? Well, I can tell you that every time Horst Schulze, and I was fortunate enough that he was the CEO when I was with the company, every time he walked through a property, and he did that all the time. He was not a sit-behind-the-desk kind of manager. Every time he walked through a property, he was talking about what made us special, and what made that employee special, and what he had observed, and what he had heard. And it was real-life examples. And yes, the real-life examples sometimes became like fish stories. The housekeeper that ran down the block to catch someone to tell them they had left their laptop in their room, all of a sudden she was flying to Antarctica to give the laptop to the person, but that's okay. It made the point. It made the point. Celebrate what is unique about your company, regardless of what segment you're in. Again, your lenders, your brokers, your owners, your operators. There's something unique and special about all of your companies, but it needs to be shouted out. It needs to be told to employees. It needs to be constantly reinforced. What I like to recommend is do a corporate culture audit, and it's real simple to do. Go to the person who answers your phones for your company and say, what do we stand for? What's important here? important for our business? What's important in your job? And if the person who answers the phone says, I answer phones, that's all I do. All I do is answer the phone and put the person on hold and transfer them, then they're missing half of the message. Your message is not just to answer the phones. That is what you've got to transfer to them. You're not just answering the phones. What is their role with your company? They are what? They are the first impression. They are the first impression. I called the other day, I'm not going to say where it wasn't in Atlanta, but it was a very, very high-end club that cost $1 zillion to join. I wasn't calling to join it, I can tell you that. But I would call the club because we do a lot of work with the club industry. And the person picked up the phone and, excuse me, is this such and such club? Yeah. Can I speak with Mr. So-and-so? Who? Mr. So-and-so, he's your general manager. Oh, yeah. Do you think I would have joined that club if I had $1 zillion? No, I wouldn't have. It would have been a, never mind. People call your offices too. It's the first impression. It's the first impression. Talk to the people around your office. What do you stand for? That is a corporate culture audit. What are the core values? Now, core values means that, you also have high standards and that you're not going to compromise them. And sometimes that's part of the message as well. You violate a core value, you violate something that's really important, then you may not be around. And I'm a huge HR person, and so I understand legalities and everything. You got to be careful with that, but you've got to know these are things that are so sacred to our company, we're not going to compromise them. Again, you have to get away from this entitlement culture. You're not just hired to get a job. You're here to make sure that you are contributing to the culture, contributing and reinforcing the whole idea of our core values. Don't keep it a secret. Tell everyone. Tell applicants. Applicants, when you are hiring, and I don't care what segment you're in, your applicants have to have the ability to reflect your core values, your culture, what you're all about. And again, looking at some of these companies, Chick-fil-A and Disney and Nordstrom, they take such care in hiring their people. And I know, particularly with Chick-fil-A and with Disney, because they hire our students, they take incredible care. They do not hire just lightly in terms of, okay, we like you, you're hired. They go through it methodically. They go through step after step after step. Don't keep it a culture. Don't keep it a secret. People yearn for it. And this is what they yearn for. They yearn for whether they are going to work for you or they're going to do business with you. They want to find meaning in what they do. They want to find companies that have a meaning and have a clear statement of what they stand for. Employees want to feel like they're contributing to your mission. There's no doubt about it. If they feel like they are having an impact, that they are contributing something, they are going to not be disengaged like that 21%. They want to work towards the greater goal. They want to work towards the greater good of things. People are energized if they are part of the vision and the mission. Again, there was a survey. I'm not going to go through it word by word, but basically it backed that up. It said people want to work for places where they feel appreciated, they have confidence in what you're doing, your values, and in the leadership. And that is a very, very key part of keeping that culture alive. You will get into fables, and that's good. The housekeeper that ran a blog, and all of a sudden she was going to Antarctica, that's okay. Fables are good. There's a book that actually was written by an ex-executive from Nordstrom called Fable Service. And the key line was, in service industries, and that's your industry and it's my industry, it's ordinary people doing everyday things in extraordinary ways. And that's what differentiates us from the people that aren't sitting in this ring and didn't make it over the last 3 years. And just to wrap up, because we're never there, and I tell our students, it's not like you got there and you never reached the top of the mountain, because an opportunity is the distance between where you are now and where you could be, regardless of how good you are. Even the best, very, very best companies, regardless of their segment, have room to improve. Any questions, comments, anything that, and I know I'm standing between you and food, because I'm before the break, so I keep that in mind. But anything that you'd like to ask or see? Right. Thank you very much. Right, they can go to the